Alright, what's going on, guys? It's Sam.
Steph.
We're the Movie Budz. And for this week's episode, we're going to be taking a look slightly back in time to 2011's Sucker Punch by Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder?
Zack Snyder.
We're cutting this. We're cutting all of this. I'm starting again. So coming into this film, I hadn't heard a ton about it. I did a little bit of reading up on it, but we had a quick look at the trailer, and Steph?
Thanks.
Had some immediate thoughts. What do you think, Steve?
Fuck you, that's what I think. This is a fucking train wreck. That's it, the series is cancelled.
This is the last video.
I can't take this shit anymore.
I am not Steve.
Oh my god, we're back again.
Oh, Jesus, Steve.
Fuck off.
What did you think when you were watching this trailer?
I thought it looked cool, but then looking at it a little more, is it a bit juvenile? I mean, like, I don't want to kind of think that sort of shit, because I like anime, I like fantasy and sci-fi, and clearly this movie is drawing from a lot of that, mashing it together, an ode to nerds. It looked just slightly off to me. Maybe it's because it's a bit dated. The CGI is not quite up to scratch.
Maybe.
Google uniforms and stuff, and the dragons and the giant swords and the guns and everything. That works really well in anime, but almost because it's animated and making it over the top works. But in real life, it's more grounded medium.
It's a little bit more ridiculous.
So it seems kind of silly seeing it in real life.
Alright, interesting take. So obviously neither of us have actually seen this. It's going to be a proper sort of reaction review, analysis, whatever. And for me, I actually kind of thought the trailer looked cool going in. However, reading some of the backstory, I hear a lot of criticism of the way it depicts women.
Yeah, it got flogged.
It got flogged by a lot of critics.
Yeah.
So for me, I would just like to see, is this movie actually trash? Or was it maybe overly criticized? 9 years later, I believe this is. We're going back to have a look at it to determine, is this movie trash? Should you watch it? Or is it worth forgetting?
Yeah.
So, you guys are not gonna have to worry about spoilers for this movie, because nothing could spoil this movie.
It's spoiled.
I don't care what you know about this movie, nothing could ruin it. It was ruined to begin with.
Oh,
Okay.
fuck, man.
If you haven't seen it, don't worry. You just watch us rip on it for a little while, and then you could feel like you've seen it and be happier than if you had seen it.
Zack Snyder stole 2 hours of my fucking life.
I
And
want
them back. I want them back, man. I didn't even pay for this movie. I want my fucking money back.
Why is it on Netflix?
Why
Why is it anywhere? Why does it exist? I mean, the main complaint going into this movie is Zack Snyder's depiction of women, but I have a problem with his depiction of everything. Women, men, plot lines.
Storytelling in general.
What was going on? Who were these characters?
Who cares? That's the big thing. Who fucking cares?
Just for a quick bit of context sake, you're starting out with this girl, family tragedy, her mom dies, and dad kills her daughter, like her sister.
Mind you, that sequence is the best part of the movie. If
That's
you want to
actually
watch
the most interesting.
Yeah, if you want to watch the first 10 minutes, that's
Yeah.
good. That
It's
is
a heavily
alright.
stylized music video, but
Yeah.
at least the visuals are cool. So with her dad killing her sister, he blames it on her. She gets sent to an asylum. We cut to her about to be lobotomized, and then suddenly the rest of the movie is in her fantasy land, which is the asylum's actually a brothel, and the inmates are forced prostitutes. But then she goes into second fantasies within the fantasy to escape the fantasy that she's in somehow, and none of it mattered. And you're sitting there thinking like, did you get high on several drugs and starve yourself for several days and then watch Inception and think, you know what if I did an anime version of this with chicks in real life and it's gonna be out, it's the best thing ever. Ah!
It's so disjointed, man. It really does feel like the brothel bit and the asylum bit were written separately. It was written by Zack Snyder and Steve Shibuya.
Separately.
So
they wrote the movie.
One of them wrote the asylum bit. One of them wrote the brothel bit.
And then they meshed it together.
Then they met back up and they realized, wait, weren't we doing this? I'm like, no, dude, I thought we were doing this. Oh shit, what do we do? Oh, don't worry, man. I've been watching a lot of anime recently. I got this.
It's like every frame of the movie they were just like, how can we make this look cool? And sometimes they achieve that, and sometimes it just looks stupid. But at no point in the movie did you think, yeah, this is a plot line that makes sense. I know what's happening right now.
The problem is
You kind of get what's happening, but it's like,
you know what's happening, but you don't care.
you don't care. It's so thin.
There's no consequences for it. All the consequences come in at the end of the movie.
Right at the end.
Like right in the last fucking half hour of the movie. That's when all the consequences roll in. But before all that, what's happening in the fantasy is literally her just dancing on stage. So you've got these fucking...
She's fantasizing that she has to dance for people, but then she's escaping the fantasy of having to dance for people by
Going into another
fantasizing
fantasy.
that she's kicking ass in some kind of war zone. And David Carradine is giving her sage-old Asian man wise advice, except that he's an old white dude and his advice means fucking nothing. And then, of course, he gets to deliver that beautiful line.
Don't ever write a check with your mouth you can't cash with your ass.
It's literally the worst line I've ever heard in a film, ever. It's so disgusting. Man, I thought that maybe it was just people being a bit sensitive. Oh, okay, she's in a fucking schoolgirl uniform. I get it, it's a little bit ew. Oh, maybe it's not that horrible. Maybe it's a bit distasteful. No, it was fucking yuck, man. I literally feel greasy, and I'm Italian. I feel greasy most of the time. That was an achievement. That was like Kentucky Fried Chicken.
My soul. And it really makes you look at Zack Snyder's career up close and think, you know what, most of his movies were kind of this bad. I mean, 300 had some pretty good moments, it was relatively well done, but everything else is like, how are you still making movies?
It's all IP projects too, so they're not original
It
ideas.
doesn't even have original ideas.
How are you still fucking this up? Someone literally wrote this shit for you.
You're getting rich doing this.
I know.
I feel like everyone's
It's
like,
so
you know what,
bad.
his cinematography is quite nice, and they just sort of ignored everything else.
Not with this movie, thankfully.
They did rip him over this.
There's a pretty good anime called Shibuya, which does pretty much a 10 times better version of this, where one of the characters is an otaku girl and she loves fancy stuff. So a lot of real life situations, you see her imagined version of what's happening in that scenario, really exaggerated with big anime weapons and magic and guns and everything, but it plays out alongside the real thing. So you feel like the stakes are real. What's happening in this fantasy has an effect on what's happening in the real world. You get none of that until the very end of the movie where one of the characters dies.
They finally show you how it's starting to all tie together, but up until that point, you're like, does this matter? Is this happening? I don't understand what's going on.
It's just this overindulgent, gratuitous as fuck music video. And honestly, it's sometimes the action was even a bit boring. Main characters and stuff were like dying towards the end of the movie because the fucking bad guy who runs the club, he starts shooting them and shit.
Club Asylum.
Fuck, man. You still don't care.
Yeah.
It could have been a really impactful scene, you know, this violent pimp who's just executing these girls on the spot for daring to go behind his back. That sounds like it should be good, but it was just like, oh well, oh damn, that sucks.
There was potential for a good quality Sin City style movie in here, but it just wasn't handled well, and it wasn't that.
A movie with a lot of characters, I said,
There's no
character.
character.
I don't
character
care
development, you don't
about
care
anyone.
who these people are, and like none of them.
I don't even know
have-
who they are.
Every character in it just sort of seems like a set piece. There's sort of a point in the story, but they don't really have any story of their own.
Just in case you're thinking, maybe this multi-layered dream imagination thing, maybe that's just a creative vision and maybe it's just not to your taste. No. Zack Snyder uses it as a way to get around the plot holes in his own fucking story. Because characters who have a certain dynamic and relationship in an asylum context do not have that same relationship in the brothel. How does that work?
This clearly can't be happening in reality, so how is it playing this out in the fantasy? Is this tied to reality or not? And then later on they're saying, yes, everything was tied to reality. And
It
you're
all
like,
happened. It
was
all
it?
happened.
how?
Yeah.
How was
It
it?
doesn't make sense because it doesn't line up properly. There's no equivalent. It was just a crap story that made no sense. They should have left the whole thing in the asylum. They had such an interesting setup.
They basically had two movies. To sum it up, this movie was trash. We watched it so you didn't have to.
You're welcome.
I feel like you owe me a good thank you in the comments.
Show us a comment, a like, and a subscribe. And goddammit, we're going to start up a fucking Kickstarter so we can get the therapy for this shit. Alright? I think that's all I got, man.
Yeah, I need to have a shower, guys.
I'll join you. I need someone right now. I can't be alone.
I need someone to scrub my soul. Holy shit. Like and subscribe. Like I said, leave a comment. A big one. You owe me.
Oh yeah, please tell us what you think.
If you actually liked it, tell us why.
Yeah.
And tune in for the next video because I'm hoping that it will be better than this one.
Yeah, me too. Catch you later.
Bye.